What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network, on Peacock, and on Vice TV. As today we're talking Season 1, Episode 8 of Tales from the Territory. This one all about WCCW Wrestling's Lone Star Legacy. Loaded panel for this one. They got Brian Diaz, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, Jimmy Garvin, Kevin Von Erich, David Manning, Chavo Guerrero Jr. as well. They talk about how the promotion emanated from downtown Dallas, had carnival roots dating back to the early 1900s, and it was run by Jack Atkinson, if that's how you pronounce his last name, a.k.a. Fritz Von Erich. The Sportatorium was WCC's home base for a very long time. The promotion was known for its entrance music. It was known for its vignettes. Fritz was praised as a great leader for the promotion. Manning was essentially his right-hand man. They also talked about it breaking away from the NWA at one point, and they had a hell of a roster, both, I say past and present, but I'm talking like people that came through there and also people that started there. They list off names like Johnny Valentine, Rick Rude, Dingo Warrior, who later went on to become the Ultimate Warrior, The Undertaker, who was obviously, of course, known early on as Texas Red in WCCW, Cactus Jack, a.k.a. Mick Foley, among many others. They talk about El Santo coming in, and now he was like fucking 7 years old, and they had to make sure he didn't die in the ring, but he went over huge with that audience. They talked a lot about Chris Adams as well. Gentleman Chris Adams, who was very nice. He was a legend in wrestling, obviously the innovator of the super kick, or one of the people to really bring it to notoriety in wrestling, until he drank. When he drank, he was a very bad drunk. Diaz and Adams, Diaz talks about how they ran out of a Mexican bar because Adams got them in trouble. He was talking shit to some people there. They got shot at while they were running away. They get back to the hotel, and Diaz fucking punched them when they got back there. He's like, you can't do that shit. And he learned his lesson that night, that you can't go drinking with Brian Adams because he will undoubtedly get you in trouble. And he didn't even remember the next morning. Adams was so drunk, he was so, blackout drunk, that he actually did not even remember the incident the next morning. Something similar happened when they were in Israel. They had a very big show in the Middle East, one of the biggest shows up to that point in the Middle East. And Adams beat up a bartender while he was at the bar. They tell the story that he super kicked his eye out, which sounds fucking ridiculous. And a lot of these stories are just that. They're just stories being told by the people involved. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but even the reenactment of the incident was completely ridiculous. The idea that he super kicked a guy's eye out is completely fucking dumb. But anyway, he got in trouble. He had to rush to flee the country. He had to find his passport on the, the front desk of the hotel they were at. It was this whole ordeal. Adams eventually got through. Manning had a lot of the police when he got back to the hotel saying he had nothing to do with it. And he admits in retrospect it was pretty dumb because that could have ended very poorly if Adams ended up staying in the country. They could have been in some serious trouble. They also tell the story that they were doing a show in San Juan. The flight got delayed. They made the mistake of giving the wrestlers free alcohol as a result of the flight being delayed, a la the plane ride from hell. And Adams, because they cut him off after a certain point, talked to the stewardess people, whatever. And then he went up to the pilot. The pilot kind of squared up to him, and Adams fucking attacked the guy. He ended up getting 6 months in federal prison due to that dumb shit. So thankfully he did not get off with just a slap on the wrist. He actually did have to serve time. He did have to serve time due to that because it was a pretty dumb fucking thing to do. They talk about Kevin Von Erich being the most athletic Von Erich. Diaz worked with him after turning heel. Kevin recalls working with Buddy Roberts and how he kicked him on the teeth one time, and he always wrestled barefoot, so his foot was completely fucked up. He kicked him right in the teeth. He fucked up Buddy Roberts' teeth, and Von Erich's foot was completely destroyed. And they even joked that he's going to need a rabies shot because Roberts never brushed his teeth, so they had to clean a lot of shit out of there, which is disgusting. He also told the story Kevin did about pulling his own tooth out due to it bothering him, and he did it not because he was a tough guy, although everyone else says he was a tough guy. He says that he did it because he was a puss, and the tooth was really bothering him, and he asked other people to do it. They wanted no part of it, so he grabbed a pair of pliers and just ripped his tooth out, or at least most of it, which is, again, disgusting, even seeing that, hearing about it, whatever. They recall the super white-hot Von Erich's Freebirds angle from the peak of WCCW. They talk about and show footage of the Von Erich's upbringing under Fritz Von Erich in WCCW. Jimmy Garvin actually talks a lot about the Freebirds before they get into the feud itself. He actually stayed with the Freebirds in their apartment or whatever, and he tells the story that Bam Bam Terry Gordy broke down the door one night because they didn't know where the key was, and they actually left it like that for a good month or two, and they would just put the door back kind of to where it was without actually fixing the door for, I guess, just at night so it wouldn't get cold. They would put the temperature down to 68 at night, because that was the temperature they had to have when they were drinking. They were always drinking. I guess they were celebrating one night because they sold out the Sportatorium or some sort of arena. And Buddy broke the coffee table by doing some sort of like a moonsault, like a back. He pretty much fell on top of the coffee table, fucking broke it, and burned the rest of their furniture. So it was a pretty hectic environment, to say the least. Speaking of Gordy, they discuss how great of a guy he was. Unless you crossed him and he could fucking tear you apart. They tell the story that Gordy crashed into a car dealership window because they were working on his car. They weren't done fast enough, so he crashed through the window and pissed on their floor until they apologized, which is just fucking disgusting. I mean, hey, he's a great guy, but guess what? He's also an asshole, I guess, too. They talk about how stiff of a territory WCCW was. Now, the Freebirds actually came in initially as baby faces, which I did not know. The big turn took place in a Kerry Von Erich, Ric Flair cage match, and they only did cage matches like once a year at this point, so it was a really, really big deal. Michael P.S. Hayes was the special guest ref. He wanted Kerry to win via shenanigans. Kerry wanted no part of that because he wanted to win out of the goodness out of his heart as a babyface. That was just the type of babyface that he was. So Gordy, when Kerry was going to leave the cage, slammed the door right in his face. And people thought he died. Like, there were girl fans crying in the front row, and it really set the promotion on fire. It was the hottest angle they ever did. Jimmy Garvin talks about how he needed the gimmick, so he brought in his cousin, named her Sunshine. She was his valet, and she would drink all night with Buddy Roberts, and the plan was always to replace her with his own wife, Patty, who he called Precious in storyline. And they had, like, legitimate heat because Sunshine did not want to go anywhere. She let the success get to her head. So I think the original idea for a match that he had with Johnny Mantell, was that I think Sunshine was supposed to cost Mantell the match. I don't know if this was a shoot or not. I'm not exactly sure. But Precious ended up, who was the actual wife of Garvin, cost fucking Garvin the match. And then she blamed Sunshine, which is a great angle. But then they ended up like going after each other. That triggered a feud between the two. He actually attacked Sunshine after the match. I assume that was part of the angle. But that really triggered real heat between Sunshine and Precious, because both of them wanted to be on TV working with Garvin. Manning also recalls a story, kind of like the last major story of the episode, where someone stole money one time, and Chavo also talks about, he wasn't like directly involved with WCCW for the most part, but he did have his early training there, I believe. But anyway, Manning recalls someone stealing money from the promotion, started shooting at the guy, 2 warning shots, and then 2 shots at him, completely missed him. So he ended up catching up with him, hit him with the gun right in the face, like broke his nose, shattered it. Everyone thought that Manning shot the guy because his face was like completely bloody and gross. The cops thought he shot the guy. And the cops were pissed. They were like, I think the cops wanted him to shoot the guy as opposed to, because they have all this paperwork because they shot all these bullets off and he didn't, they didn't actually kill the guy. He didn't actually shoot him. So he punched him with the gun as well and all this other shit. So they thought it was a dumb thing for him to shoot off the warning shots instead of just carrying more bullets. And they actually reloaded the gun for him, which was pretty funny. The promotion ended up closing its doors in 1990, they said. As far as the legacy, Manning says that you see all the Marvel movies out in theaters now, but WCCW back in the day had live superheroes, and they did it for the fans. Garvin said he's glad to be alive. Manning said it was a team effort. And then Kevin Von Erich says that it's the people that you remember, and it was a labor of love. So good stuff here. I mean, WCCW obviously had a lot of hot angles. This was kind of the same story as the other episodes, where I enjoy the stories, some of which sound completely fucking far-fetched, but they're enjoyable. They have a great panel of people here to talk about WCCW, and I always learn something new because I'm not very well versed in the territory stuff, especially like the lesser known ones. So these are always very enjoyable. I'm digging the show so far. There's more episodes than I thought. This was the 8th episode, and they still have 2 more, at least 2 more. I think this was episode 8. They had episode 9 this past week. They probably have at least 1 more this coming Tuesday. So I'm hoping to watch the next one, which is the Jim Crockett Promotions episode, I believe. That already aired on Tuesday, as I mentioned. Hoping to rewatch it, or not rewatch it, but watch it for the first time. Catch up this weekend and have the review up on Monday. So until then, guys, thank you for checking out this review. I appreciate it. Be sure to check out all the other Tales from the Territories reviews in the description box down below. Like this video, drop a comment, share, subscribe. All the support is greatly appreciated. Also, hit the bell button as well to be notified every time a new video goes up. Have a great one, guys. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.